Kill Brook. I'm so done with him. I'm sorry. I don't even like to think of him as a crew member. Get Panty Boy out of here and I'll be fine. Have Luffy kill him for being weird. That's fine by me.
That's a pretty good intro. Welcome back to the dude in the room. I don't really have an intro or an outro. It's a very unprofessional channel. But I am here today with another dude in a completely separate room on the other side of the world. It is Daniel Greene. Hello, Daniel. How are you this morning?
I am alive, caffeinated, and kicking.
And we are here to talk to you about some One Piece. Daniel, I've heard that you're into One Piece.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I've read the latest release, but it's either the second to last or the current, so...
Interesting.
And it's all been done in about a year because my audience bullied me into doing it, and it's been great.
Well, that's exactly where I was leading. I believe you were a notorious One Piece anti-fan or non-believer at some point until your audience thoroughly bullied you.
I was one of those people who had never read manga. I had only had the impression of like what people say about manga, and I was like, it's not for me. And then I read the first arc of One Piece, and I was like, all right, this is pretty good. And now I've read almost all of One Piece, aside from 1 or 2 chapters, and I'm making my way through Berserk, and I'm reading and watching anime probably every other day at least.
Yeah, I saw you with Berserk. You got the deluxe editions going, which are very, very fancy. I love those.
I, unfortunately, am like a book snob. If there's like a special edition, I'm going to get it. And it's just translated right over to manga as well, which apparently I still get yelled at for the pronunciation. But hey, that makes more comments, so I'm not going to change it.
Manga, yeah. It's true. It leads to engagement. Certain people on YouTube make mistakes on purpose for engagement, allegedly. I think that's just covering up, though.
Oh, no, not allegedly. I do that. So we're good.
Fantastic. Well, would you like to tell us a bit about your One Piece journey? When did it start? Why did it start? How's it going?
So about a year ago, I think, maybe a bit more than that, because it was a year before. It was before I moved in this place. I moved in this place a year ago. I just started getting comment after comment saying, like, you really like Discworld and Wheel of Time. One Piece is the Discworld and Wheel of Time of manga. You'll love it. It's so funny. It's so charming. It's just this huge fantasy epic. And I kept writing it off like, it's not real fantasy. It's a manga, whatever. Little did I know, it's probably in my top 5 favorite fantasy worlds altogether. It's certainly a fantasy epic. Calling it anything else would be a tremendous disservice. And in terms of the characters, the lore, everything, it's up there with Malazan, Game of Thrones. Like, it is, you can have a career talking about just the background details going on. Exhibit A. Yes. And that's kind of just become my new obsession. I'm on my way to get a One Piece tattoo before the summer's over. I'm just working on the design now, so I'm a fan.
Nice. Can you give anything away about the design? Because that's something I've always wanted to do. One Piece tattoo.
I can say what I'm not going to get, because a friend of mine has a few of the crew members on him in like a very minimal, abstract way, and it's so cool. And I was like, I can't copy you, son of a gun. So I gotta go something else. And I think I'm going to do, I love like ships. I grew up going on the water every summer, so something probably along the Going Merry route would be where I'm leading.
Oh, a nice in memoriam.
It's the better ship.
I agree. Sunny has not quite pulled its emotional weight yet,
exactly.
In my opinion. Speaking of tattoos and not One Piece, I also noticed that you have a Lord of the Rings tattoo. Is that correct? You've got like the Elvish around your arm, like the One Ring?
I have the Elvish around my arm here, and then I also have Goblin here because I am the disheveled goblin, which is my branding, which has been fantastic.
On brand, yeah.
So Tolkien was kind of my first fantasy love, even before like Wheel of Time, stuff like that. My dad would read to me as a kid, and so that kind of what opened the door into what became my career by an accident. And so I figured to go ahead, and it's my favorite written like fake language. And so I mean, there's a lot of them out there, more than people realize. A lot of authors like making languages, and I think yes. It's also just it's probably the tattoo I've gotten the most comments on, because even just like a frat bro is going to be like, I love Lord of the Rings, and I'm like, I love you for loving it. Let's talk about it while we're drunk.
Oh, I 100% agree with you. You can't see this, but my wedding ring is engraved with Elvish all the way around.
Oh, does it say the inscription from the ring, or is it like something between you and your significant other? It does
not. It has our names on it. It says Liam and Chantel, and Liam and it just goes around like that.
Oh, that's so nice. I love that.
All right. Back to fictional pirates, though. Business. I have a bunch of randomly chosen questions for you from members of the Grand Fleet on the channel, which is not the channel that this video is going out on. But first one, how do you feel about the art style, or how did you feel about the art style of One Piece before reading it as opposed to after?
Well, I think every fan has watched the author just improve so much over time. It was never bad. I don't think I've ever heard anyone level an allegation of bad art against One Piece.
You've not spent enough time in the anime community.
But I think now, I mean, it's certainly become something that is near the top class, I would imagine, in manga art circles if you're looking at the newest chapters. But you can't talk about One Piece art without talking about the anime specifically. It's just, I think I released a review. It's out of now, of the One Piece episode 115, which, if we're talking about the art,
the beginning of Roof Piece.
Yeah, the direction, the music, the whole elevation of the source material that happened there was some of the best I've ever seen in terms of adaptation, which I don't know if One Piece fans refer to the anime as an adaptation or just like a companion piece to the, because it seems like they're considered both really the heart of One Piece.
Yeah, it gets complicated.
It does. But it was such an experience. And then I went back right after I watched that and I watched episode 1 again, and it's like, oh, it's so
the
cute.
Nostalgia. Yeah, that was all the doing of Megumi Ishitani, who is the director extraordinaire behind that, and 2 other episodes that were also amazing.
I love the idea that anime, even just like shows like One Piece, is getting that same level of, from storyboard to final product, of people who just want to elevate the material in every way, and it's their big drive and passion in life, and it's so impressive.
It is fantastic when done at that level. I think there are a lot of people who would argue that Toei sometimes don't quite meet that standard.
Yeah,
but,
I've seen some things. I'm still learning about the anime, manga community, getting into stuff. I've only read like 3 or 4 under my belt now, like Parasite, but there's a surprising amount of industry drama that fans are very into following. Like, it is a big part of the community, and I'm like, this is like, I want to see a Keeping Up with our Kardashian equivalents for like some of these people who are like so followed and kept after because they've become such like drama sources for fans.
At what point in the series did you get that feeling that, this was a good decision? In fact, this was a great decision to read the series or watch. I believe you experienced it kind of scattered.
Well, that comes right along in hand with my second favorite crew member, Nico Robin. And then when her arc with, if it's Water 7 or Water Down, I'm having a hard time with the
Water 7. Yep.
That was the truly, I think my title of that review was Peak One Piece or Pinnacle One Piece or something, because I still haven't emotionally connected with a character like I did in that arc. And it was so powerful, and it proved to me that there was this... It also, like, that is the arc that really made me believe there is a vision here. There is something so big going on. And that, I want to live moment. You're just, every fan, if you didn't have tears in your eyes, you're a liar. And Robin's always kind of been one of my favorite crew members, because I've always felt like way more dangerous than all the other crew members in certain kinds of ways. Because when she's alone, she just kills people and stuff. And I'm like, she's a little more hardcore than anyone else.
We kind of forget this these days, but she was more or less a trained assassin when introduced. So.
And she has still, I believe, the most horrific kill in One Piece, making arms grow out of someone and break their own neck. That is straight up Lovecraftian horror stuff right there. That is a monstrous thing to do. Wow.
Yeah, pretty fantastic. I think that's quite a common fall in love point, the whole Water 7, Eni Slobby era. Some people do cite it as peak One Piece that we've never quite been able to replicate since.
I'm enjoying the current arc as much, probably. I'm really enjoying it. And I also, the arc that lasted like 2 years that so many people struggled with because it lasted for so long.
Dressrosa.
I always want to call it Flamingo, because Flamingo. That one, because it's done and I was able to get through it so fast, I loved it almost as much. I could see why it would be a grind if it's 2 years, but I think on reread, especially if you haven't done it since then and you're a huge One Piece fan, but you think you hate it, do it again. It's pretty spectacular. And Flamingo is brilliant villain.
He is, I think, my favorite villain in the entire series.
Really?
Flamingo. So good. Yeah, I love his style, I love his charisma, and I love just how much I hate him, and I'm satisfied by seeing him beaten.
I agree, but I also am a really big fan of just monolithic brutes. So Kato, or pronunciations are my
Kaido.
biggest weakness in One
Yeah.
Piece, is also someone who I love seeing an unstoppable force and immovable object, and that is Luffy and Kato to a T.
Absolutely. Is he a big draw for Wano for you?
Yes. The only thing in Wano I don't love, that is still, I crucify me. I'm sorry. The grandmother
Noted.
character whose name eludes me right now. I just never been into her. Every single time she's on the panel, her whole thing with Sanji, who's my least favorite crew member, it was my least invested in One Piece like ever.
That's fair enough. I think if that's the only thing you can pick out of Wano that's not really, doing it for you, I think we're onto a pretty solid thing. I've heard much worse criticisms of Wano. I think it's also particularly funny that in retrospect there was a lot of hate for Dressrosa for lasting 2 years, but Wano is about to turn 4 years old that we've been reading it weekly.
And is there as much complaining as you've seen, or no, not much?
Oh, there's a lot.
See, I still have to avoid. I want to do a reread and pick up on stuff on my own. And so I'm still trying to avoid a lot of comments because I don't want everything spoiled for me that I'm going to pick up on that reread. And that's kind of where some frustration comes between me and my audience. I still get stuff wrong. I still have not picked up on everything. I've missed all kinds of the background stuff around setting up all these, webs that have dictated the story and the narrative so far. But I don't want to be told why I'm wrong. I want to go back and do a reread and have my audience see me discover it, because I know a bulk of them really enjoy that. Like, I know I'm way off right now reading Berserk with like a lot of the predictions I'm making. People have told me like, you're completely wrong. And I'm like, don't tell me that. I want you to watch me find out I'm wrong.
That's essentially as good as a spoiler, finding out that something isn't going to happen. Yeah.
Although there's something I'm pretty sure I'm right about that some fans are telling. Sorry to talk about Berserk for a minute, but so many people are
Berserk?
telling me
Yeah,
that.
that's fine. I love Berserk.
So many people are telling me like, no, Griffith wasn't evil from the beginning, and I'm like, this guy is throwing all the red flags from page 1. He is a Charles Manson type. He's horrible. What are you talking about?
Like, you don't want to get started with the Griffith did nothing wrong people.
I was amazed to hear those people exist, because he's sitting there just throwing around like evil, like Clockwork Orange grins left and right, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
For a manga as nuanced as Berserk, I think Griffith is about as stereotypically evil as one can get.
But I think it's why so many people fall in love with him, because he's written so charismatic and so, I almost want to say elegantly, and I don't mean that in his more like elegant presentation style, but his statement of philosophy, his own justifications are very well thought out for himself. So you kind of find yourself, if you don't read between the lines, going like, I understand it. You're just an ambitious dude. Like, oh yeah, you're just really ambitious. I get it.
Yeah, really, really ambitious. I guess before I start accidentally spoiling things, I'll bring it back to the
Sorry.
world of wacky pirates. That's fine. I enjoy Berserk. Speaking of wacky, what is your favorite wacky character design in One Piece?
Oh, it's cheating to say Luffy because I love a good inflatable man. It's really him though. Luffy is so, because he's this basic design when he's not doing anything spectacular, right? He's red vest, straw hat, pretty standard. But when it comes to what he's looked like throughout the series, just puffing up, turning colors, doing all kinds of wacky stuff, it feels like Oda very intentionally started him in that very simple style and then is able to grow from there, because I feel like you'd have a harder time doing more with it if it was starting so fancy. But my favorite character design overall is going to be Jinbei. I am a big Jinbei stan, and my big old fish Yoda,
right.
as I refer to him in my head, is someone who I just think has kind of nailed it perfectly. He somehow gives me those Uncle Iroh vibes from Avatar while being a fish man. Just like, perfect. You nailed it, and it's all in the presentation. Great.
100%. He is my favorite rounded triangle. Here's an intriguing question. Should any Straw Hat die at the end of the
That's something I've really struggled with, and I'm glad you asked, because normally I'm a very big proponent that people have to die for a narrative at the end to make me go like, there was weight here. One Piece is the exception, because One Piece has so much love at its core. It's about the friendship and relationships. If someone died, it would undercut those themes of just togetherness and unity and growing together, and like the time skip, having them apart and reunite was such a significant moment the ending to me, the original crew needs to be standing there strong. And then becoming the next, king of pirates. Like that's has to be that ending. I personally would be heartbroken if one of the core crew died. Now, I say core crew. If Jinbei died, I could like see like the people. Actually, I kill the Brook. I'm so done with him. I'm sorry. I don't even like to think of him as a crew member. Get Panty Boy out of here and I'll be fine. Have Luffy kill him for being weird. That's fine by me. I take back everything I said.
Interesting. Let's investigate this Brook opinion a bit more, because he ties into something I remember of yours. I remember your Thriller Bark video, I think, quite vividly. I would call it a controversial arc in the fan base, but your video on it was like 10 minutes of almost raw. This is shit. Here's why.
It just didn't feel as significant. I do feel like I was too hard on it because I was probably just feeling very let down. I had come off this high from One Piece that was just so awesome, and then it came down to what felt like average, and I treated average as if it was below average, and I shouldn't have been that hard. But hey, I'm a human being, right? I'm gonna let my emotions come into my review occasionally. And I will say, like, everyone pointed out, like, why didn't you talk about the best moment of One Piece comedy throughout the entire series? And I was like, you're damn right, I didn't. And Luffy pushing that zombie down to the ground is straight up iconic. But no, I think what attracts me specifically the most to One Piece is watching all the tie-ins just grow, and it feels so purposeful while maintaining this very lighthearted attitude until it doesn't. And that, I feel like Thriller Bark just gave me so little of that. And maybe upon reread, I'll pick up on way more stuff going on, and I'll be a lot more invested because I'm sure I missed some stuff. But as of now, it just was one I don't even think about. Like, it's gone. It's gone in my head.
From my perspective, it's very unfortunately sandwiched by the Water 7 saga and the Sabari stuff. It's definitely a valley between those two peaks to me, unfortunately.
I'm not sure if I kept this in the actual review. Maybe it's in there or not, because everyone kept telling me like, oh, there's about like filler arcs in the anime, and I think I either said or cut a line where I said it feels like a filler arc in the manga.
I think you did say that. I feel like I do remember that. You might have just incepted that into my head right now, but I feel like I remember something along those lines.
Well, that speaks to the quality of One Piece overall. I mean, I would say the number one war I'm fighting right now is my audience was not grown in manga, right? Like there was so much that was just hardcore epic fantasy tomes. And when I jumped into manga, I had a lot of people disappointed in me saying like, what are you doing? This is a lesser art form. And what One Piece has taught me, my takeaway as a critic, is that medium does not matter. The talent of the artist utilizing the medium matters. And Oda is a master of his craft. There is no denying he is one of the best storytellers alive right now. Anyone who says otherwise does not know what they're talking about, in my opinion, because One Piece is on that Game of Thrones level. It's on that just top of the line. There's a reason it's getting monuments made to it in Japan.
Yep, there is a gold statue for every straw hat in Kumamoto, which is Oda's hometown.
Did they finally
get Jinbei yet, though,
Did they get all of them up? Because I know I kept seeing like, okay, the Nami one's done. Are they all done now?
Everyone except Jinbei is up. I think Zoro was the last one of the original batch to go up.
That is a travesty. You need... Get Jinbei in there.
I agree. He'll be very expensive because he's massive, but he deserves a statue.
I also, weird thing, I always want to call Brook Brock. Brock is a better name for a skeleton. I don't know why they named him Brook. It should be Brock. Sorry, Oda, you're a hack, and I think you're terrible. It should have been Brock.
So back to your Brook hate. Is there nothing you see redeeming about him at all?
Oh, of course. As time has gone on, Oda makes me fall in love with everybody, and I'm sure in a few more bits I will get there. And of course I start loving Brook when he's like saving the crew members during their lowest moments. That's what he is. He's the ultimate support. I used to hate Usopp. Now I love him. Like it's gonna happen, I'm sure. I'm begrudgingly waiting for it to happen, but for now, let me enjoy my hate.
Fair enough. Hate in peace. Can I assume that the moment that turned you on Usopp was also Water 7?
This is gonna sound dumb. It's actually probably the time skip, because seeing him be a musician was such a fun choice that I was just like, 10 out of 10. I like it.
Interesting. So he was a long haul sell on you then.
Yeah, I was not a big fan for a long time. But seeing Oda is just creative. And so seeing what he was choosing to do with every Straw Hat member during that time skip, like apparently Usopp just went to the gym like it was a religion. It was brilliant.
Yeah, after getting far too obese, yes. Who has such a firmly rooted background in fantasy and hard magic systems. How do you feel about the One Piece power systems, Haki, Devil Fruit?
It's a very strange approach to crafting a magic system because it's taken so long for us to almost get any answers, right? Like, you do not understand the devil fruits, their origins. Even now, we don't fully get them, at least unless I've missed out on a lot of background information that I should have been. It's amazing to me what One Piece fans put together. I'll see, like, headlines in, like, the One Piece subreddit where it's like, I pieced together how when Luffy farted in chapter 1, that foreshadowed, like, dear God.
Yeah.
But I think it's the ultimate example of using a magic system to tantalize your audience and to fucking stick it along for the journey. Sorry, I don't know if you swear. Sticking along for the journey.
Feel free to on this channel, absolutely.
Great. Okay, like feeling free to stick along for the journey because like that is so. If I'm like talking to my friend Reed, who's a very big One Piece fan, we are constantly talking about like the unanswered questions. And Oda, I've never seen before personally, except for maybe out in Malazan, kinda, not giving answers as a magic system as one of the big hooks to keep along for the narrative. Where I think we're actually going to get answers for all of this stuff still. Malazan has an other approach where Erickson is just like, if people are like, how's your magic system work? His response is like, why do you care? I'm like, that's pretty great. I like that too.
Fair enough. What is your biggest criticism of One Piece?
That's a hard, because it's changed consistently because I keep being proven wrong with some of my criticisms. But I think if I can actually step over to the anime, I stopped watching it because of how much it drags out scenes. And there's a whole thing called One Pace that apparently solves these problems. It is a little ridiculous to watch some episodes of One Piece and stand on a singular action for 5 minutes. And you're like, I'm gonna go take a pee break, and then the guy's still yelling when I get. Okay, cool. That's fine. It's a little ridiculous.
Yeah, lots of reaction shots, lots of unnecessary bystander dialogue, and sometimes they quite deliberately have the actors speak slowly to drag out a scene as well.
Yeah, and I get that that's them just literally not having enough material and like they're trying to find a solution. But the reason I might go back to the anime now is after 115, I was like, that was. I didn't even notice if they were bloating it out because it was just so engaging from beginning to end. So if that level of effort's going to be coming through, sign me up, bloat it, I'm fine.
Yeah, the interesting thing about 115 is like almost half of that episode wasn't in the manga. It was, I guess, sort of implied material that was expanded upon, but it was done really well, which is what the Wano anime has been very successful at for the most part.
Just talking for you is making me so excited to reread. I can't wait. I know a lot of my audience that's like been mad watching me spend so much time on One Piece is like dreading hearing that I'm going to reread it. I don't care.
Book fantasy-oriented audience doing so much now manga content because you had a whole ton of One Piece. Now you're even expanding into other series. How does that sit with your audience?
It actually scared the heck out of me when I first started because my first One Piece video, I was struggling with like, it was like unsubscribe, subscribe, unsubscribe. Like the number kept like waving in the middle because so many people were just like angry that I was even trying to give manga a chance as a medium. And then again, a lot of people were into it because of the meme. Because there's a video on my channel where I actually showed this. I was quite literally bullied into reading One Piece. Every one of my live streams, they would show up and just spam One Piece, One Piece.
I've seen that video. Is that the one where they would type in comments like, have you read Ready Player One Piece and stuff like that?
Which is the best comment I've ever gotten from somebody. That was the funniest thing ever because I had just gotten done just lighting Ready Player 2 on fire, I think. But so they really wanted me to do it. Sorry, what was the question? I just totally lost it.
Good question. I've sort of lost myself in you speaking as well. Yeah, was there much pushback from your audience when you?
But over the time, it's become I've started getting more and more comments that were like, "Thank you for getting me into manga," which is weird because I'm just getting into it. Like I'm like, I just started, but I'm glad you came along for the ride. And so many people have gone outside of that. I remember there was one commenter in specific. I think his name is like Dave from Ohio or something very generic, but he was one of the people who was at first like, you shouldn't be reading this, it's for kids, whatever. Now I've started getting stuff from him that's like, you need to give Death Note another try. Death Note's actually great because I did not like the Death Note anime. And so it's funny to see like a lot of people have come around, but I still absolutely every single time I post anything about manga or anime get comments that are. I remember one on specifically Parasite. When I released my review of that and was really enjoying it, I had quite a few people in the comments section saying like, just looking at like the trailer, I can tell Daniel's just trying to engage with a young childlike audience to boost his numbers, and I'm like.
Through Parasite.
Yeah, okay. This is not for kids. Maybe you should watch Parasite before you think it's for kids. They're like, oh, look at the little cute alien. No. No. This is horrifying, by the way.
Well, that's fantastic. You've probably done more to convert people to anime and manga than I have, so congratulations.
Entirely an accident.
But now we have the most important question of all. What is the One Piece?
The friends we made along the way.
That is the one thing it is objectively not.
I think the One Piece. It's not. So there's. I know whatever I'm going to say. I'm going to get so many people lighting my ass on fire, and I'm so nervous to answer that question. I am hoping that it is a horrifically detailed, awful rendering of Oda's head being lifted from a chit. No. I genuinely don't know. I think there would be genuinely some catharsis in just having like a massive treasure pile and Nami being able to lose her shit over it. But outside of that, I really haven't gotten to the point where I'm able to speculate about that accurately. Do you have any theories? Can I reverse the question?
Well, this changes. Like every couple of years, there's a new leading theory on what the One Piece is. Currently, and I don't have the time to explain this properly, one of the current leading theories is that it's just a bottle of sake. And there's surprisingly sound reasoning behind it.
I don't know if I stand by this because I think I mentioned it somewhere and got pushed back, but we've seen someone with the ability to have 2 devil fruit powers now, and I think because of that, my theory at the time was the One Piece has been found, and it was something that allowed you to take in multiple devil fruits, and that was kind of the big thing, but then I got so many people saying like, but actually, and I was like, all right, fuck it, never mind, I'm wrong.
Yeah, actually. Daniel Greene, I love your love of One Piece, and there will be a link to your channel in the description with lots of One Piece.
Well, thank you so much, and I had a blast talking about the series that has dominated my 2021 and 2022.
And all throughout the rest of your years.